debt-based system.
Hey, Blaine, thank you so much for making yourself available.
Good beer?
Yes, it's always good to talk to you. You posted an article. I'll have the links where people can find you. You posted an article on Newsmax about the yen carry trade and how this is depriving the globalists of their income, of revenue. Okay, so
okay, I'm going to step away for just a moment here. So nobody send in any tips while I'm gone because I won't be able to pause it and you'll get a bad audio thing. But as soon as I get back, then you guys need to go to tips.kingpilled.com and tip your streamer. I'll be right back.
So can you explain for people, because my old channel Crypto Rich, I had talked a lot about finance and people did understand it. Not so much on this channel. So say what the yen carry trade is and what's going on and how it all plays into the battle for good versus evil.
Yeah, good versus evil, or what I'll call sovereigntists versus globalists. And people should see Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent as one of the top generals in this war. No question about it, if not the most important one. Because if we're fighting as the globalists, the elites who are really financialists out of the city of London in that consortium, then the thing that drives them and the thing that's nearest and dearest to their hearts is their wealth and their riches and their money. So a line of effort is always going to have a financial element with them. Now, there's wars playing out all over the world. Everybody thinks there's only two, which is amazing. Ukraine, Russia, Iran. Sorry, there's 60 around the world right now. But part of that is, if you looked at where President Trump first pitched his battle when he was inaugurated the last time, we went right to Venezuela. And we went right after the cartels. And people were puzzled. They were saying, well, wait a minute. The cartels are mostly operating out of Colombia and Mexico, Nicaragua. Why would we start with Venezuela? Well, it's because it's a crime scene. And it's also connected to the cartels. But that crime scene is illicit activity in human trafficking, drugs, stolen elections, lots of evidence. And by cutting and severing that link, if you recall, MI6 said we're no longer going to help the United States with matters of intelligence on this area. They were knocking out shadow banks everywhere. It was phase one of the...
Tucker clones constantly flushed, blotchy face and puffy, bloodshot eyes under the lights prove it's no natural man. Its slightly swollen features and that unnatural redness give the whole imposter game away while it keeps beguiling solid men like Joe Kent.
Thank you, Colonel Blaine Holt. Your Joe Kent advocacy there at the end, that makes me suspect that perhaps this is Joe Kent commenting under a pseudonym. Perfect timing. Please do tip your streamer, folks. Tips.kingpilled.com.
Of the financial war. Phase one, take away the cartels from them. Take away the money laundering that activates that. Well, Iran probably noticed that since the IRGC relies on money laundering in a set of worldwide networks that does pass through London. Okay, something else. London, the city of London, has great allies with our globalist bankers in the United States. The top private equity firms, the top banks, the ones who've been manipulating the price of gold and silver and keeping it suppressed. Well, they have a dirty little secret since 2008. They have found a way to work around the rules and invest trillions of dollars in private banks, shadow banks, banks with no depositors, banks that create very high interest loans that trickle back up into the banking system. But the little problem with that is, and we're talking about loans that go to trillions of dollars of construction.
I don't remember where I was listening to this or who exactly was talking about it, but it was either on a panel on Rich's show or it was on Tommy's podcast, and it was some conglomeration of Susan Kokinda and Blaine Holt and Tom Luongo and whomever else. But someone brought up, and they looked it up and confirmed it there on the show, that I think it was the British Virgin Islands. It was one of those like tax shelter places in the Caribbean, has more registered banks than population. And there's like basically anybody can just go there and just start a bank. There's no regulations or standards or anything like that. You can start as many as you want. So there's more banks than there is people in this. I don't remember if it was BVI or somewhere. It was one of those places.
Construction sites for data centers that probably not going to get built because there's no money in those companies and they're not turning a profit. So their loans are bad, but their loans are not bad because on the balance sheets, they've been lying about their loans. They've been cleverly offering what we call a PIK or a payment in kind on the back end of the loan to say, don't pay us now. Don't pay us now. We'll take your money later on a payment in kind. So we'll talk about this later, but we'll keep your loan on our balance sheet as fully collateralized, full value to the private equity.
Now, if they're going to run through this multiple times because there's like a sequence of explosions here. Like one explosion triggers a bigger one, which triggers a bigger one, which triggers a bigger one. and they're going to run through it multiple times to try to get the mechanics down. So I'm not going to stop and explain it every time, but we'll kind of let it play through, and then I'll add in some extra commentary that I needed to answer some questions as I was listening to it.
But equity companies then bought insurance companies, boring companies that invest in treasuries for a small return to keep their claims strong and financially stable. Well, no, the private equity companies bought a bunch up and gutted 25% of their holdings and put these private banks with the loan problems into them. So now you've got a multi-trillion dollar, $22 trillion problem that just became a $62 trillion problem because of the face value of all those life insurance policies, which are connected to the pension funds. So now you've got a system that's starting to teeter, but the system's getting overbloated with debt. As the debt gets more, the debt becomes less attractive because the ability to pay may not be there. And so you see the bond markets, the interest rates are going up higher and higher and higher. Well, one of the ways that Wall Street, and this gets me to my article, and the banks of London and globally have always covered their butts, will always have Japan. Japan will save us in all cases. Why? Because Japan has zero interest rate money. So they play the arbitrage game where...
Yes, Emperor Trades, we are still doing drawings. Go to forum.kingpilled.com and make sure you signed up over there. So if we happen to pick up the pace on the show supporting today, if the pay piggies show up, then if we hit the goal, we will do a drawing, and 10% will go to some lucky winner. 10% of the total tip take. So forum.kingpilled.com to sign up for that. No purchase necessary. Just need something to call you and a way to contact you, and then tips.kingpilled.com for the money giving.
They will borrow yen, and then they'll go work that into the Western system and cover the spreads by getting a higher interest rate with their almost paid nothing for it yen into American dollars.
So
I borrow, petrodollar system.
I borrow $500 million at 0% interest or 0.1% interest from Japan, and then I take that money and I invest it, I don't know, in the UK or Iceland or whatever at 3 or 4%, and I'm making...
And I cover the spread.
I cover the spread. I can pay back Japan, and I got this free money.
Free money.
Oh, and then I can do this again and again.
That right there is the yen carry trade.
And again with larger and larger sums.
And the only fall guy here are the Japanese people. They're taking it off the cuff over this scam for the longest time. But so got a new prime minister in Japan, very good friends with President Trump. So what's happened lately? How bad would it be if you took that, what we call the carry trade, that's the arbitrage we just talked about, and you reversed it. And you said, you know what? The yen needs to be stronger. Let's get that yen stronger. So after all this Iran, after all this cartel money, after all this laundering's been exposed and died out, China pulls an amazing feat and says, no more paper trading in metals. Shanghai Metals Exchanges, hard metals delivery only. Well, the kids in London who run the LBMA didn't like that because they don't have any metal delivered to anybody. So,
and this is something that if you've been following the right internet circles for the past year or so, then you would be aware that the precious metals have been just absolutely nuking. The markets have been all sorts of wonky. Politically Catholic says City of London's gold contracts got shut down on COMEX in early of 2025. Yes, they stopped even pretending they had any gold in the bullion vaults. Yes. So that's what I was saying. So China and the United States have been accumulating, like aggressively accumulating gold and silver and other precious metals. And the net effect of all of this has been the actual like real hard assets being siphoned away from Europe, broadly speaking, which is what really kicked off a lot of this hysteria. So he described the yen carry trade here, but like that's just the beginning. So the unwinding of the yen carry trade is a big thing because it makes a bunch of financialists blow up because it margin calls them across a whole bunch of different things. But the things that they're getting margin called on have layers of complexity to them where the blow up gets bigger with each layer down that you go.
You have these pucks lining up in each case. You should see Scott Bessent's fingerprints because they're there. So then you get to this place where we're all talking about the bond markets, the bond crisis, the private equity crisis, the property tax crisis in the United States. The ECB is on its last legs. You've got the Bank of England, which is screaming bloody murder. There's no liquidity in the system. Aha. So Scott Bessent last Thursday, bought $7 billion of yen, which we don't do. We've never done that. And he used American euros, taking money out of the European system, sell it, sorry, ECB, and put it into the Japanese economy. So it's a double whammy. Wait a minute. Now we give Japan the green light to sell U.S. Treasuries $70 billion worth to buy their own yen. So what does that create? What that creates is now the yen's getting stronger. And all these bankers who are in these loan positions, well, they're getting a margin call. They're getting their paper called in. Your loans that you took out are not worth what they were. So you're going to have to make good on your collateral or we will do forced sales of your assets.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me translate that.
Money is evaporating.
Okay, so let me translate that. So the US, by buying yen using euros, depresses the value of the euros.
Nematode.
This is the Kamala 2028 Super PAC, right?
Yes, you're at the right place. You should, if you are a fan of the Kamala phenomenon, then go to tips.kingpilled.com. I'm with her, yeah. Remember when Pedro Gonzalez was like totally taken in by the TikTok chicks doing the Kamala dances? And then the TikTok chicks doing the Kamala dances just immediately moved on. And we're like, yeah, whatever. We're going to go back to whatever we were doing before, like posting our asses on the internet. And Pedro was just absolutely, well, he should have been crestfallen if he had any sort of shame about him. But the man has lost that a long time ago.
That gets cheaper against the dollar and also against the yen. The yen becomes
okay. So let's let Rich interpret here.
Okay, so let me translate that. So the US, by buying yen using euros, depresses the value of the euros. That gets cheaper against the dollar and also against the yen. The yen becomes, its purchasing power increases. It becomes stronger. And then the yen is the Japanese government then buys US treasuries, which further strengthens.
No, they sold their treasuries.
They sold their treasuries. They sold their treasuries. So which weakens.
So dollar goes down.
The dollar goes
down. Goes down.
Okay.
Yep.
Then.
So what if you're on the side of the trade that is now trying to use the dollars you bought with the yen and make all those loans?
Right. Okay.
So your holdings just went down.
Hold on, Blake. So I can keep up with you, right? With Tom Luongo, like bloody hell. Right?
Yeah, I'm a pilot. We'll noodle through this together.
So what had happened is I
Nuclear fatwa.
They want gold, they want silver. They want molybdenum. They want gold, they want silver. They want molybdenum.
Superior Beast flipping out about the tippers. I wondered how Dale was going to say molybdenum. Oh, there's a me when I think about Scott Bessent going to war with the globalists. Thank you for the $40, Nuclear Fatwa.
I'd borrowed yen at low interest rates to buy dollars.
Yeah.
Made money on the difference, and now I've got these dollars that have now lost value because Japan has sold the U.S. treasuries, and I got to make good on my repayments on the loan. And the bank's saying, "No, wait a minute." It's a little bit like it's akin to the interest rate on credit card repayments going up.
Exactly.
So now my dollar is weaker. The euro is weak.
The interest rate is going up, and your currency that you're using to pay that interest rate, the value of it is going down at the same time.
How am I going to make good on the repayments?
Oh, that might be a problem.
Now, that sort of laugh and that expression, like you're some sort of happy chappy fat banker, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
I think it's delicious.
You're the loan
shark.
shark.
The whole thing is the whole thing is delicious. Now, there's a lot of people here who are going to get hurt, and the reason I wrote the article is you don't want to be in the crossfire when financial titans go to war. That's the whole point of my article. You don't have to have an economics degree. You don't have to understand the economics of this. You can watch 1,000 George Gammon videos and have none of it stick. I'm just telling you, you don't want to be, and this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, but don't get in the middle of a shootout between financial titans, meaning the United States government, Japan versus the globalists. Be careful. And if you need to get to your financial advisor to figure that out and to figure out how you get defensive, do it, because you got to figure out what you're connected to. People will get a statement about their retirement fund. Hey, my retirement's worth this so far. And then it doesn't say anything else. You need to call those people.
Politically Catholic says Trump's goals: lower dollar, lower interest rates, higher stock market, higher crypto, higher gold, British pound in the gutter. Yes. It's a higher Bitcoin as well.
Retirement fund. Hey, my retirement's worth this so far. And then it doesn't say anything else. You need to call those people up and go, what are we invested in? What is this connected to? And if you have a permanent insurance policy,
I would actually say not just British pound in the gutter, but more like British pound trending toward the gutter to the point where they have no choice but to come begging for a bailout. And then it's essentially like a corporate takeover.
Insurance policy, call your insurance company up, get a review, go find out. That's practical advice that I would give as this part of the war starts to roll out, and it is rolling out.
Okay, now or the actors that took out these loans, the globalist actors.
Oh yeah.
Who are they?
You'd know all their names.
Count these loans, the globalist actors.
Oh yeah.
Who are they?
You'd know all their names. HSBC, Citibank, Chase, all the biggest names in banking have been playing the Japan carry trade. All the institutional monies have been playing the Japan carry trade. Do you see where this might have some pressure on some retirement funds?
Yeah, but also...
And hold on, we'll trickle it down to the private equity companies, and then we'll trickle it down through the insurance companies, and then we'll get down to all those loans being written in the private banking companies whose investors are now catching on to this problem and asking for their money back. That's the fuse. It is lit. Companies like Blue Owl and other private banking companies are now telling their people, whoa, we can't give you that money back. These are illiquid assets. We're going to limit you to only 5% or 15% redemptions. If you want a way to spook the herd, go ahead and tell somebody they can't have their money back. It's like taking a drowning victim and holding them underwater. And so you're going to start seeing more and more agitation in this space. So what has happened? The illiquidity is there, meaning the forest is dry, one spark, and you're going to see a problem. And I can't predict when that problem's going to be, but I can tell you that my analysis, my opinion only, shows me this is part of the war. This is a big part of the war. And it could well be, if you're going to play this out from a warrior standpoint, is this forcing us to a financial place where you see a sequence of events that is, okay, we've got a financial crisis. It's a biggie. And then if we have civil unrest here in the United States, if bad things happen, people think they don't have any money because they got their checking accounts bailed in or what have you. Does that lead the impetus to then declare a state of emergency? If that's the case, does that state of emergency then give the Treasury and the Fed a very easy path to convert over the entire financial system, where we leave behind the old dollar? We're back on a gold-backed standard with some sort of gold-backed treasuries and a stable coin that's got hard assets against it. That's not
gold-backed treasuries and a stable coin that has hard assets against it. Never let a good crisis go to waste, right? What better time to completely remake the global financial system than a massive US dollar liquidity crisis where everyone is stampeding to the United States demanding dollars.
It's not a CBDC, but that then you're restored in a new system, which is going to be different. Is that the cover for changing out the monetary system? Doesn't that then separate the globalists from their control levers and their power in the old debt-based system?
Hi, everyone. If you're trying to work out everything that's...
Politica Catholic says the UK isn't getting a bailout, they're getting a buyout. 50 cents on the dollar. And then he said, sorry, 14 pence on $88.
going on, the fastest way is to sign up for my weekly email that has the week's interviews, all 14 of them, broken down into one thread that covers them all. It's completely free. The link's in the description below. And they're controlled.
Homeless Nomad says, what better time to tune out on the timeline over fucking burrito prices? Right? You see what I mean? Like, imagine caring about the fucking vapid horse shit that all of these thought leaders are prattling on about every day when this sort of shit is going on. Superior Beast says, to be honest, at this point, everything else is just a plus. This is the biggest thing Trump 2.0 is doing. Now, they're going to go back in and talk a little bit more about the payment in kind and the CLOs, the CDSs, the insurance companies, how this is going to start multiplying this problem and all the other aspects it's going to touch. But to zoom out just briefly here, the thing that I was hinting at earlier about Alexander Hamilton is what was one of the biggest innovations that he spearheaded. The thing that if you got just a cursory overview of Alexander Hamilton in whatever school class you were growing up, if you just look at like the overview of his Wikipedia, what was one of the big things that he did coming out of the Revolutionary War? Let's see if anybody, I'll make sure you guys are paying attention. See if anybody jumps on this. National Bank. Yes. Yes. And how did that national bank, well, it got shot by Aaron Burr. That would be like the other big thing. But what was the thing that he did with the debt of the several states? He consolidated all of their debt into the national bank. and monetized it. Correct. Scott Bessent has been telling us exactly what they're doing. They're doing the Hamilton model, Hamilton's establishment of the national bank and the consolidation of the debt of the states. They're not colonies necessarily by that point. Obviously, they're states. All the different currencies and different like structures, and he consolidated them all and used that as a way of getting out of this debt trap and directed it toward productive capacity using the resources at their disposal. So what would you do if you just took this and you moved it up an order of magnitude? You'd be looking at the U.S.'s, our allies, effectively, because the United States is the center of this. This is what you get, fucking Eurofags, when you build your whole thing on dollar scams, scamming off of the U.S. dollar. Yeah, when somebody comes and takes hold of that U.S. dollar, you're trapped in here with us.